Hello everybody, so this is Austin here in the channel Two Messengers Ministries, obviously, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about being young and making a difference. So the main verse that I'm getting this from is Timothy 4:12, and Timothy 4:12 says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity." So some backstory on Timothy. Paul, if you guys don't know who Paul is, then you're lost. No, I'm just kidding. So he picked up Timothy, I believe, I just looked it up, I just googled it, and according to evidenceunseen.com, it says that he picked Timothy up, or he started working with Timothy when he was 16 years old, and back then that was actually like freakishly young, especially for church stuff, because in church stuff, I don't want to say the rule, but like the what is it? What is the word? The unwritten rule. Unwritten rule. The unwritten rule back then was like you can't be in charge of a church or do stuff high up in the church until you're at least 40. That was the rule. So in Paul's second missionary journey, which we know what year it was, I don't know it off the top of my head, and it didn't say right there, but in his second missionary journey, he picked up Timothy, started working with him, and at that point, Timothy was 16 years old. Now, the first book of Timothy was written 14 years later, and in this book, he is calling Timothy, or he's telling Timothy, and encouraging him to take a leadership role and become the leader of this really big church. And Timothy is only 30. Back then, 30 might as well be like 20 or like 18 or something like that, really young. And so the whole point of this, and one of the main things, is he's encouraging Timothy to take charge of this church, and he's encouraging him in this because this church is not doing well. And he picked up Timothy, and he worked with him, and he really trusts Timothy, and he knows Timothy has a genuine faith. That is one of the main things. Timothy was really young. He knew Timothy was really young, and the entire people in the church knew Timothy was really young, and they didn't want any young person taking a leadership role. But this is what he tells Timothy, and it is so, so awesome, and I'm so glad he said it, because we're still using it 2,000 years later. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. So I'm just gonna... So that's the second video in a row that I've gotten an unexpected phone call during that. And now, like before, I am completely unsure where I was. Okay, I remember. So, what I was saying is, I'm gonna go over this verse real quick. Just like break it down. So Timothy was super worried about this whole thing because he's being called to lead an entire church. I would be a little, nervous as well. This verse is awesome, and I'm about to tell you why. In this society, or especially older people, you know, like our parents and our parents, your parents, people that are older than us in age. And right now in this video, I am talking to people my age. I am 18 years old. People my age, maybe even older people. Heck, if you want to watch this and you're 85 years old, watch it, and maybe you'll get something out of it. Maybe you'll be encouraged too. But what I'm saying is, I'm speaking to people who are young right now. You know, I'm 18, I'm in college, I'm speaking to people who are about as young as me, maybe younger, maybe a little bit older, and I have a message to say. God told me to say this. Just because you are young does not mean you have to wait to make a difference. Just because you're young does not mean at all that you can't change lives right now, and that you cannot impact people, and that your calling has not started yet. If you're young, like me, God still has a calling for you right now. He's not waiting until you grow up. Listen, we are old enough that we don't have to be like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be this. Listen, you're grown up now. And I'm not saying that 100%. If you're 15 or 16, you're grown up enough. I know that sounds a little rough or a little harsh, but it's true. If you're 15 or 16, if you're 17 or 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, whatever, you are grown up enough to do something to make a difference. It doesn't matter. That's exactly what this verse is saying. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. It doesn't say prove them wrong when they look down at you, on you. It says don't let them. That doesn't mean like confront them and be like, yo, don't look down on me just because I'm young, you know, like starting something with them. That means don't give them any reason to look down on you just because you're young. Start now. Do something now. This verse goes on and it says this. Set an example for believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. In speech means it's not saying getting up and making speeches. It's saying with your tongue, with what you say. Set an example for believers. And it's saying believers as all believers, no matter what the age, no matter who they are. And it says in speech, like I said, with the tongue, in life. I believe what that is saying right there is life as in life and like life and death. Okay, when you have God, you're in life. And He gives you life every day. He gives you the Spirit. And really the best word I can use to describe the life in this is Spirit. Then it goes on to say in love. And exactly what it sounds. That is a fruit of the Spirit. You're never too young to bear fruit. In love, loving others, love in general. God is love. Now, real quick, this is probably a message for another time. Loving people is not just I love you, it's actions. In faith and in purity. Now, in faith, obviously, believing in God wholeheartedly, unwaveringly believing in God. Yeah, we might doubt some, we might fall some, but faith. And then it goes on to say purity. Young people struggle with being pure. Okay? I struggle with being pure. Everybody struggles with it. And that might be one of the biggest ones that speaks to people now, is being pure. For those of you who don't know, like a month and a half ago or something like that, I actually preached at my church. I preached a sermon. And I was so happy to do that because I think it was 2 to 3 weeks prior. Maybe it wasn't quite that long. But I was reading my Bible and I was really, really getting into the Word. And I felt called to do it. I actually, what I remember doing is, I was reading 1 John chapter 3, I believe it was. I remember it talking about going to heaven, being saved. If you believe with your heart everything the Bible says about Jesus, then you're going to heaven. And in that moment, God, I like sort of pictured myself on a stage talking to people. I wanted to share that message with people. And I felt God calling me to do just that. And He told me to get on stage and preach at the church. And after the weeks before, prior to that, thinking about it, dwelling on it, and I was looking for a calling before that. That was in that moment when I felt called to be a speaker, to be an evangelist speaker, not a pastor necessarily, but a speaker. That's where I'm at right now. I want to be a speaker, and right now, I'm pursuing that as much as I can. As much as I can. And so I preached a sermon, and I think a lot of people in the church were surprised about how I did. I didn't do that bad. And I realized that the main reason that they were surprised was because I'm young. So lately I've been feeling, I haven't preached since, and that was like a month and a half ago, and lately it's been eating up on me. I've been dying to preach again and speak somewhere, to follow this calling, because I am sure God's calling me to do this right now. I'm sure, and so I'm doing everything I can to pursue that calling. And so yesterday I went to different churches in the area, and I actually was only able to get to 2 of them. And I went in the churches, and I spoke to the pastors and told them, hey, if you need a fill-in speaker at any time to preach, I would love to do it. I'm here. My name's Austin Hendricks, and I gave them my numbers and everything, and they loved it. Like, I don't know, like, loved it, maybe like the wrong word to use there, but they were surprised. And both of them, there were people around them that looked at me, and I noticed they were looking at me like, who is this kid? Like, what? You want to preach? How young are you again? And honestly, I kind of liked that. But anyways, I told them, and they were surprised, like, kind of surprised, like, wow, that's awesome. And I think they both liked the idea, and they might getting back to me on that. I'm really, really hoping they get back to me on that. I'm going to do the same thing next Sunday too, because I'm not going to stop until I can preach again. Man, I'm not going to stop until I get to preach again. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm 18, and right now my mindset in something that I feel like God is really speaking to me, telling me, is do this and it's eating at me while I'm young. Do this while I'm young. Because I feel like I can make such a big impact right now in this small window of my life. So much impact I can make because I'm young. I'm not like talking myself up or anything. If I sound like that, then I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do that. Okay, this is God's time. Okay, I'm just trying to relay a message. That's why it's called Two Messengers Ministries, because we're messengers. We are all called to be messengers, not creating the message ourselves. We're not the senders, we're the messengers. Oh, and I love that so much, because I can't create a message that well. You know, isn't it so much easier to just listen to the thing and then tell someone else what that is instead of having to create it yourself? It's awesome. That's why we call this Two Messengers Ministries. Anyways, sorry, I'm just... anyways... I totally forgot what I was talking about. Again. Okay. I'm losing my mind. So as I was filming the video, my camera stopped, and I actually didn't know it stopped until after I got everything put up and started editing the video. So guys, comment down below and let us know what you're thinking of the channel so far. For now, this is Two Messengers Ministries. I'm Austin, and let's change the world.